I'm back with Virgo moon and Sagittarius moon compatibility. Okay, so these two signs are square. I feel like this is an interesting thing about this. I don't dislike Virgo moon and Sag moon, but at the same time, I don't know how these two together, I feel like works with patience and experience, because without that it can really be just misunderstanding after misunderstandings each other's intentions based off of feelings, based off of perceiving one's actions, or or feelings, like how they felt about something, but not just how they felt about something, what they did in response to how they felt about something. It could just be a lot. And they could spend a lot of their time trying to explain themselves, or it's like one of those things where it's like, okay, fine, since you don't get it, but fine, you don't gotta be with me then. Okay, well, you don't gotta be with me then. Okay, I'm done. Okay, be done. Or I'm done. Okay, well, fine. If you're just gonna give up that easy, okay, fine. You're not even listening. You just didn't even hear nothing I said. Like, you always brush everything under the rug. Me brushing everything under the rug, you don't even acknowledge what it is that I'm telling you. So what are you talking about? It could be that, like, a series of just misunderstandings is because, like, the way that they interact and emotional exchange is completely different. It's different. And it could seem like an obstacle getting towards each other, or meeting each other at a mutual place. Because here you're going to have Sagittarius moon that's like, okay, you know what, forget it. Forget it. Like, what? You talk about the same thing from yesterday? That I'm over that. Like, I don't know why you're bringing it up. And Virgo moon left feeling like they didn't get any answers, or they were unheard. And it's crazy, because you gotta think of it like this. You have to understand each sign. And you think about a Virgo moon. Virgo moon is not typically stuck on emotions, but at the same time, it's like they want to communicate sometimes, communicate how they feel. Just know that I was interrupted in the worst way, okay? But and I don't even remember where I left off at. So with Virgo and Sagittarius, there is this, basically it's like this hit and miss emotionally. Now, I'm not saying that square signs can't work, because square signs can definitely teach us something, a thing or two. And I feel like square signs could definitely work even better when it comes to sun signs. But it doesn't mean that it can't work when it's in moon signs. It just means that it just depends on the two people involved. It depends on, like, other compatibilities that you have in the chart, and just a lot of understanding and, with time. But because imagine this with a child parent. You're not just going to get rid of your kid per se because of the misunderstandings, but still it can be difficult to manage a relationship. Like, the child in this scenario could always feel like the parent doesn't understand them, or they're not allowed to. Because what ends up happening with a child parent versus, like, maybe two lovers, and when it comes to synastry, and especially moon synastry, the child ends up acting out or suppressing their emotional state of being to either appease a parent, to try to avoid conflict with the parent. They could shut down in areas of communication and stuff, but still, or they're acting out, like, to where it's shown something that is evident and you see it taking place right in front of your eyes, and the parent doesn't understand, because they don't get it. They don't get why the child is acting that way. And even though I'm saying this because when there's incompatible occurrences happening between parent and child, it is always difficult to, it could be very difficult to manage, versus, like, with, I feel like a lot of times with lovers and relationships, people tend to have more tolerance, and even sometimes work towards trying to understand the other person, because they see this as, oh, this is my partner, this is my lover, and emotionally, they can, interact with the partner a certain way to get them to do what they need, versus having a parent-child relationship. So, but with that being said, Sagittarius and Virgo, it's just this. Sagittarius wants to move forward, maybe even overlook things, maybe even be a bit preachy. Virgo is good with communication, but it has to be an open form of communication. It has to be where you can tell them stuff and you can talk to them about stuff, but at the same time, you got to be willing to listen in return. Like, you got to be willing to hear what they have to say. It's going to be an open line of communication. You go, I go. And it can seem to Virgo like Sagittarius wants to become preachy and wants to tell them what they're doing wrong. But when Virgo speaks up to communicate to Sag, what they feel like Sag is not doing correct in the relationship, Sag can take it personally and really overlook what Virgo moon is saying. Even when Sagittarius is feeling like, well, that's not what I'm doing. I heard what they said, but I don't have to keep harping over it. Virgo moon is still going to take it personal. It's one of those type of things. And Sagittarius moon could feel like Virgo moon keeps repeating itself about stuff. Like, you just get it out. Don't be taking too long, going over this stuff. You worry too much. You worry about money. You worry about everything. It's Sagittarius looks at Virgo moon as interfering or preventing progression and forward movement in their relationship. And it could be because of money, work, arguments, like something that happened, and Virgo might want to talk about it or discuss it or bring it up. Sagittarius is like, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to hear about that. So I feel like with these two, it's important to have that, reciprocity, if that makes any sense. Either one, especially the reciprocity, I think. This reciprocation. Hi, girl. Between the two. So in Sagittarius, don't lead or look to chastise Virgo. And Virgo, don't hang on to stuff that's happened already. Like, be open to equal exchange and communication and stuff like that. Now, don't get me wrong. See, Sagittarius can feel like Virgo is critical. You see, it's like critical about everything it does. Sagittarius don't need you pointing out every little thing that it does or wants to do and criticizing it. So it's really ironic, because it's like the same thing that irritates them both about the other is the same thing that really the other one is doing to the other one, but just in a different format. So preachy, Virgo might not like that, because it feels like, okay, you just preaching to me about what I need to do, but you ain't living about what you saying and what you telling me. You've been a hypocrite. And then Sagittarius is like, okay, but you being critical about everything that I'm doing, but look at you, look at what you doing. You doing all the same stuff that you telling me that I shouldn't be doing, but look at you, you a hypocrite. You see what I'm saying? And they both looking at each other like hypocrites. So you definitely need that reciprocity. Listen, hopefully I got through everything that I needed to. Let me do some positive stuff, because like I got so sidetracked when I was doing this video. But some positives is that, if they're able to work on communication and work on seeing things from the other person's point of view and taking turns communicating about that, and then setting like, okay, so how can we move forward, and then working on that together, and then allowing space for each other. Because the good parts about this is that Sagittarius likes to kind of roam and do its own thing. Virgo likes to have its time alone too. So Virgo, even though it can nitpick about Sagittarius going off doing its own thing, sometimes at the same time it appreciates it, because then Virgo is able to be alone. And it's this and vice versa. When Virgo wants to do his little hermit thing, except for the differences would be Sagittarius might be out and about in the world. Virgo might be home or at somewhere that's not as publicly as like somewhere like a library or somewhere like, you know, somewhere where it's not always social interactions going on, you know. But so that's the difference. But that difference and allowing that space can also be something that, you know, they both understand. So there is an understanding here, but you know, you have to just be conscious of it. All right. So this is Virgo moon, Sagittarius moon compatibility, and I will return.